Residents actually grew from 100,000 to 533,000 today, and the non-resident grew from 300,000 to 1.5 million today. That's almost an annual growth rate of 10% in the 1990s, and in the early part of 2000, 5 to 6.5%. 5.6% for non-resident and 6.5%. In 2011 and 2012, the total population continued to grow. In fact, in 2012, the total population grew faster than the 10-year average in the 2000s and in 2011 as well. So how do we interpret this? How do we interpret these numbers? Let's look at a comparative analysis with other countries around other countries. I did not make this list of countries to make Singapore stand out as an anomaly. These are the countries that come to my mind. Alright? So if we look at the other countries, if you look at the third column, percentage growth from 1990 to 2012, you can see that Singapore has a population percentage growth of 74%. That is even higher than Philippines and India. So there's absolutely no reason for a small country to grow its population that fast. There have been various reasons given out by the government. Some of them is they create better jobs for the people. We have heard about the silver tsunami. We have heard about our lack of top talents. But 74% growth is not normal. I believe no country has experienced this level of growth over such a short space of time. Now, if you look to the next column, density, we stand out in an absurd manner. Of course, this is not before you start jumping up and down, this is not exactly a fair comparison because Singapore is a city. If you compare to Seoul and Manila, they are indeed more dense. But the thing is, we have plans. I mean, for them, okay, there are two key differences here. For these countries, for some of the bigger countries, if you cannot stand a crowd, you live in the suburbs, you can live in another less crowded city. For Singaporeans, we do not have such a choice. The second thing is this. For Singapore, we plan to increase our population for the next 18 years or even more thereafter. These countries, I believe, even if they plan to increase their population, they could divert their new population to other cities. But for us, we don't have such a luxury. We are almost fully built up. We have a little bit of pockets of space here and there, but the crowd will increase. We will get increasingly crowded and dense. Okay, so I want to bring our attention to some of the. This is slightly different from the first slide because we've actually project all the way from the population white paper 2020 and 2030. I'm very nice to the government. I used a medium number. I didn't use the upper bound, so it's not 6.9, 6.7. Now let's take a look. From 2012 5.3 to 2030 6.7. That is about a 26% growth rate. That is still faster than Thailand and just a little bit slower than India over the last 20 years. So do we need to fight? So the question is, there are often many reasons given, silver tsunami, like for the reasons I stated just now. Do we need to grow at such a fast rate to combat the silver tsunami and to create jobs? And I would like to point your attention to the column of permanent residents, because part of the reason is because it's one of the fastest growing segments. There are two things I want to point out. Permanent residency started growing in the 1990s at a rate of 10%. This is very short-sighted because this actually exacerbates the silver tsunami now. Many people do not realize that. By importing people, the average permanent resident will be somewhere from 30 to say 35. In 1990, by the time 2030, they are elderly already. They need support. So so by growing at 10% at a time is actually worsens our dependency ratio. This is a great mistake, and this mistake is irreversible. We cannot ask them to leave. Their economic rationalism is inhumane, and I think once we got a permanent residency, we should be respectful enough to let them keep it, and that's the right thing to do. That's responsible and right thing to do. So you can see, even then, we continue to grow in the 2000s. Same thing, 30 years later, from 2000, 30 years later, will be in their 60s, or at most earliest late 50s. These people who need the support of younger people. This is what a lot of the mainstream press will not tell you this. A lot of people fail to point this out as well. So I would like to point this out today, that the past policies is indeed detrimental to our long-term sustainability. If we had not went on the population explosion so early in our population trajectory, we would not be in such a mess today. Indeed, it could be true that we need to bring in a lot of people to support our old people, but why are we in such a mess in the first place? %26 growth in 18 years is the fastest in the developed world. Developed world usually range from 10% in 20 years, to reach 12% of immigration. We are gunning for 26%. So, okay. Now, what's the real reason? What's the real reason to do that? Okay, let's quote the first gentleman on the list. Singapore own talent pool is too small for all the things we want to do. So who is we? I would like to quote the second gentleman here. Our economy has become more vibrant and diversified because of foreign workers. Without their participation, there will not be enough Singapore workers to grow the economy. And last one is just for entertainment. Every time when I receive my CPF statement, I feel so rich. The best part is, I know the CPF money will run away. It's got nothing to do with this presentation. I found it here. Both how to put it up. Okay, now that's the long term. You see, now I've explained the long term trend. I'd like to talk about why the short term trend, what happened in the short term that actually caused the trust between the people and the government to be even more strained. Sorry. In 2011 National Day rally, before in August, the Prime Minister said, "But we are tackling these problems, building more flats, improving our public transport, managing the inflow of foreign workers and immigrants. It will take a while to solve these problems because they are big and complicated issues. We are heading in the right direction, and things will gradually get better." That was what was said in 2011. And it is almost comedic had it not been so sad and frustrating. So what happened since? We have had MRT breakdown. So many that I've actually lost count. SDS, China drivers, that went on strike. SMRT, sorry. SMRT. I apologize. Okay, let me continue. Okay, so the China driver is on strike, and that exposed a risk in public system. Can you imagine the drivers go on strike is one thing. What if the nurses also go on strike? What will happen? A lot of our critical functions now are resting on foreign workers and immigrants. This is actually very risky thing to do. Now, then the next point, the calling has not eased at all. In fact, personally, I felt it actually got worse from 2011. The HDB prices has gone through the roof. In 2011 Q2, which is already at a very high level, the index is 180. This is based on HDB data, so I'm looking it up. In 2014 Q4 is 203. It's more than 10% increase. Population growth by 2.5% in 2012. Despite promise to manage the inflow, It's actually faster than 2011 and faster than 10-year average. And I feel this is the most important point, the last point. The inequality has risen again. From 0.47 in 2001, from 0.473 in 2001 to 0.478 in 2012. The lowest 10% actually saw their income decrease yet again. So, and this is a sustained long-term trend. I think in 1990 our Gini index is at 0.43. I know what's the official line on this. Hey, our Gini index numbers have not taken into account government transfers. Other countries also have government transfers, first of all. Even with government transfers, our Gini index is still higher than Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, pretty much everyone else. And perhaps with the exception of Hong Kong, countries like Argentina, which is very famous for Brazil, very famous for inequality. So in summary, from year 2000 to 2003 and 2030, we have embarked and continue embarking on the biggest population experiment in the world. And we are not adopting a Dubai model. We are not an oil state. We invite people to come and work. It's different. Over the last 20 years, the truth is that our immigration strategy, despite of what the official line is, the truth is we stop those shifts of economic growth. We have exacerbated our population challenge in the future, in 2030, 2050, because we brought in so many people and so early. And over the last 3 to 5 years, the government has been incompetent in solving our bread and butter issue. That is clear. And without broad support from Singaporeans, the current population strategy will not work. This is a massive project. Massive projects require massive support. I looked at 2 key areas where the government can really improve on. The first is fertility. We need a complete revamp of our current marriage and parenthood package. It is a complete failure. Year after year, our population has, our fertility rate has dropped. But there are no plans to change it. We need more creative policies. We need to do things like what I brought on the slide, giving HDB discounts to couples who marry early. I think this is also the right thing to do because young couples they don't have the financial means to pay for a very expensive HDB flat from the government today. And couples with more children can get a HDB loan right off incrementally. For example, you have 2 kids, get 20%, 3 kids, 35%, 4 kids, and 50%, so on and so forth. We can enlarge, and knowing how young Singaporeans are, we can enlarge primary school priority range or higher priority grade for families with many children. So, a family with 2 children, for example, living in Bedok, but decide to go for one more because they want to enlist their children in Taunan in Marine Parade. I think this is a big incentive because a lot of parents do not want to have more children because they are worried about disadvantaging their existing children. It's not that they dislike children or anything like this. And HDB, housing is a big headache it's a big problem for many Singaporeans. So I wouldn't, maybe it's not a problem, but it's a huge cost to many Singaporeans. So by making it easier, by making it cheaper for families with many children, I think it will help ease the financial strain better than the current baby bonus. I'm not saying it's not good. We should continue doing it, but we should explore more creative and innovative ideas. We need to continue to drive work-life balance. It's not very good today, but I think the government is working on it. But let's get clear. All these things I spoke about, they will be expensive from not just economic, both economic and socially expensive. But to put things in perspective, our state budget is 13 billion. Even with the latest revamp, our marriage and parenthood package is only 2 billion. It is about 15 to 20% of the defense budget. That is way too low. Because if we are talking about national security, we we can only be secure if we have enough a strong Singapore core, as the government like to put it. We can only be secure if our fertility rate is high. You will never, I mean, you can have the best army in the world, but without a strong core of Singaporeans, without, you can have the most expensive equipment in the world, or rather, without a strong core of Singaporeans, our security will be undermined. So it is actually not productive to put so much money into defense. It's actually more productive even for the sake of national security. It's actually more productive to put money to encourage fertility. The second area of improvement I would like to point out is productivity. There's a lot of focus on unemployment rate, but we should also focus on underemployment of Singaporeans. Unemployment is a big problem because once a person gets out of work for a sustained period of time, say 6 months to 1 year, they lose skills very quickly and their employability drops very quickly. So right now there's a lot of talk about increasing foreign labor, foreign workers, constructions and all that. I know that there are Singaporeans doing these jobs. I'm not saying these jobs are, no Singaporeans are doing these jobs, but there are many Singaporeans that have grown out of these jobs, and we may need to have at least some supplement for people doing the manual work and the job I mentioned. So what should we do to help raise? You see, once a person, for example, an engineer in his 40s, once he gets retrenched because of competition and all that, once he gets retrenched, what happens? If he cannot find a job for a while, he's not young anymore, he goes drive a taxi. He will not be able to improve his productivity anymore. That's the end of it. Because it's very difficult for him to get back to his previous job as an engineer. Right? So what should we do to help that? We can moderate the inflow of these skills. We need to moderate the inflow of these skills PMAT. Q1 employment pass, these are really for the fresh grads. We actually have an employment pass for fresh grads. I believe it's the only one in the world. It needs to be cut drastically to give our local grads an age at the start of their career. This is very especially important for male Singaporeans. They need to do NS. They are already 2 years behind. Each year they go back to the service. They are at a comparative disadvantage. Let us be clear about that. And you allow foreign fresh grads from other countries to compete with them head on. This is not fair and it is not right. Other countries are almost, I would say, almost no other countries does that. The second pass we need to control is the P2 employment pass. These are for mid-management professionals, people making above from $4,500 to between $4,500 to $8,000 will usually get this pass. This is also like, I'll call this pass like the midlife crisis pass. Because these are really the people that hit the PMAT in their 40s, late 30s, 40s and 50s the most. Many of these people come in, many of these PMATs from foreign countries come in very hungry and very young and hungry. I think for our older generation to compete with them is very difficult. It's not easy. You can say whatever you want, the Singapore spirit, all that. We have we have best education and whatnot. Booming economy. The fact remains that if you expose your people to unlimited competition, there are a lot of people in the world, 1.3 billion people. The top 1% will be better than us. Am I right? The top 1% of their people will be better than our median person. That's just the way things is. So it's just wrong to allow such competition to go on. And we need strict anti-discrimination laws to prevent individual error managers, and this can be local managers too, discriminating against Singaporeans. Currently, there's no strong anti-discrimination law which is adverse. We need to audit companies' large number of same nationality in their departments. That would be a good start. Otherwise, I mean, this is not just wrong, it's almost wicked to do that. It's almost wicked to do that. I just want to end this with a message. As much as we are frustrated now, we should direct our frustration at the policies and at the people implementing the policies, but not the foreigners per se. A lot of them are facing the crowded environment. they're also faced with high prices and all that. And it's really not wrong for people to want to come and make a better life for themselves and their families. Many Singaporeans actually ventured overseas and have done the same. So I will end my speech. Thank you very much.